When I was 7, friends suggested me to go to a boot camp, web development, game development. Got to know like how to build a game and like a very simple app.
Recap got involved in coding super early, did the boot camp, jumped from scratch to C, which is extremely impressive.
Somehow they got to know my age and they banned me from the website and kept all the money. Started a company. I got rejected by multiple VCs because is this guy like really 13? Is this legit? Like within a week, I raised $1 million in seed round. Like during crypto Bahamas, just because people realized that I was real.
Extremely excited to have Gajesh today with me on the podcast today. He is a legend in the crypto space and being very young and extremely connected, extremely plugged in, and been working at prominent companies. So extremely excited to have you here and excited to chat.
Thanks, Logan. Thanks for having me.
Perfect. Well, I think a great place to start would could you give the audience maybe a little bit of background context on yourself? I think learning how you even got involved in tech before crypto is fascinating because you're still in high school, correct?
Yep.
Amazing. So yeah, maybe touching upon how you got interested in tech, how you got involved into tech, and then afterwards jump into how you kind of fell down the crypto rabbit hole.
Sure thing. Cool. So should I tell the long story or the short story?
Whatever you prefer. We have time, so whatever
awesome.
You want.
Cool. So when I was 7, I one of my dad's friends suggested me to go to a boot camp, which was my state is it's a small state in India, and it wasn't really growing into tech back then. It was like normal. There wasn't any technical advancements happening back then. And during that time, a company was building web development, web products out of Goa, and they had the idea to bring young generation into tech, and which came out as GEIT, GEIT, Goa Empowerment for Information Technology. It was led by 2 people, and it was a 2-week boot camp. I got to know about different things, a lot of things in IT. So they showed me a plate of what all things are happening back then. So there was robotics, a lot of things happening, and ship development. So I got to know about these things from there, a brief of things, and they were also doing workshops during the boot camp, which was Scratch. So Scratch is a drag and drop programming language built by MIT. Yes, so I got started with that. So with Scratch, then slowly I went into learning new things. I started with C after that, and C was very at the beginning. It was very hard to catch up.
C's hard.
Yeah, C's hard. But after that,
big difference from Scratch.
Agreed. That was a big jump. Sorry. So after C, everything was very simple. So I started to learn new programming languages. So I went from C to C++, then Java, advanced Java. I did certification in all these 4 languages. All the 4 languages, yes. And and my Java certification was from Oracle. So that was I was very happy after getting that. Cool. During this, I was also learning robotics, game development. I was driving I was getting into these things and looking into how they work, and why is it interesting, and like getting deep into those things. So I changed my industries a lot of times, from normal software engineering to web development, to just robotics, and like in between also photography.
Yeah.
Uh, and what am I missing? And I also tried ethical hacking, but then I was banned from it, just because uh, uh, I don't want to mention that incident, but it was very funny. Yeah, this all happened, and then finally in 2020, pandemic hit, and I had like I had a lot of time. Like there was like nobody knew how long this was gonna go, uh, but I had a lot of time. Uh, oh yeah, and I also did data science. So data science was the last thing I did before crypto, and after getting into and in September I found out shit. I'm missing missing the roadmap. Sorry. So before data science, I also was doing videos. So when
Yeah.
pandemic hit, I restarted my YouTube channel and started creating like Python videos. Then
What
like
spurred that? I mean, because I was looking back through some of your old videos on YouTube, and I mean, it's amazing that you were able to, one, I mean, you learned all these kind of technical concepts, and then two, were able to teach others. I think that's awesome.
thanks. Yeah, so I had like always this thing where like so my whole like my dad was a teacher during like beginning of his career, uh, for a very brief period. Then my grandfather was like doing tuitions like back in his time when like there wasn't like really great education in India. Basically, the British like the time when India wasn't like free. Yeah, so there's like this whole tree. So by like I maybe inherited that skill of like teaching from my parents and grandparents. Uh, After that, so like during like I started like these videos in middle. I also did videos for students in vernacular languages like in Goa and
Hmm.
Maharashtra. So like students did have some schools weren't even taking classes. So I thought, and like some were taking classes, but students were forgetting like most of the things after that. So that thing was like the whole idea was very very fun to implement. And like
So
during
ultimately, I mean, kind of recapping some of this, I mean, tried a bunch of different things, got involved in coding super early, did the boot camp, jumped from scratch to C, which is extremely impressive, probably a big difference. And then we're after trying different things, ultimately kind of wanted to help others learn these different languages, started making YouTube videos. How ultimately did you like capitalize on all your learnings and start to get involved in like the blockchain and crypto industry?
oh definitely yep. Um, Yes, after this, I in September 2020, I got to know about Bitcoin and blockchain. So before that, I knew about Bitcoin like back in 2017. Sorry, 2018, when it was going boom. Like like one of the person I knew told me that like Bitcoin's a scam. Like it's and like then I looked up what is Bitcoin, and then I saw like the price of one Bitcoin is 18 lakh rupees. 18 lakh rupees is about 20,000, 18,000 dollars. So, and like my mentality was like in stock markets. Like you have to buy like a whole stock. You can't buy fractional. Yeah, you can't buy in fractions. So I didn't look into Bitcoin back then. So after I attend this webinar, I got to know that you can buy fractions, and I got about like $10 of free Bitcoin for answering a quiz. Uh, yeah, and later I started digging deep into Bitcoin and like blockchains, and I stumbled upon Ethereum, and Ethereum just fascinated me because you could enter the financial space without like the age restriction, which usually you would have. Like before that, I wanted to like get into financial space and like do financial apps, but I couldn't because of the age restriction. And yeah, there are also other restrictions which come into play. So I found it really fascinating. I can get a bank account equivalent, also work. Get a bank account equivalent, and also get into the financial space and learn about it. Um, after so after getting into crypto, I stumbled upon Ethereum, and
Did
then
you
I
build
started.
any Ethereum smart contract dApps?
Oh yeah, I started learning smart contracts after that, and I built a couple of them. So the first program I did was voting, and I thought it was like a really good idea. So I was thinking, hey, let's expand it. Let's let's like get tabs and like literally try a ballot. Try to do a ballot, but that was just my child mentality. I wanted to do something. So after that, after that, I did freelancing to like get exposure of how everything works here. Uh, and I did it via this platform called Fiverr, and
Mm-hmm.
somehow they got to know my age, and they banned me from the website and kept all the money they owed
Oh,
me. Uh, then I started doing like crypto YouTube videos, and like I should mention in the description and end of the video that hey, I'm doing crypto freelance. Like email me if you want to get a project done. So I did that for 3 months, and later I thought like let's just try building an experiment project, like see how it goes. Like in Web 2, you used to create like a lot of projects, and like I just wanted to do something similar. So I built like a yield farm, which turned out to be like multiple different things. Like I called it like one stop DeFi and FT platform.
mm-hmm.
It's called Gush Finance, and it had yield farm at the beginning, then NFT marketplace, like NFT farming. Like NFT farming was the first thing, like first ever thing like someone had done. Uh, and finally a yield aggregator. Sorry, a
And
yield.
then so
Uh,
you created like these smart contract platforms, kind of got your feet wet in the space, and then how did you ultimately get approached or like get into? I believe Solana, you did it your like first internship, and then
yeah,
kind of catapulted it from there. Can you talk about that?
yeah, sure thing. So after doing this experiment project, um, I started looking into different blockchains, and in November 2021, during Breakpoint, I looked into it. Like even before that, I looked into it during the Ignition Hackathon, which was I think the second or third one Solana did. And during that, like the developer tooling was like really bad. Anchor didn't exist, or Anchor did exist, but very few people had like articles written about it or like how to use it. So in November 2021, I got to know about Solana. I tried writing programs, and I wrote a bunch of programs between November and Feb. So I every week I used to write a program and publish it on GitHub. And these were like programs which existed on Ethereum and were like highly used, but didn't exist on Solana, and like nobody was working with it. So I started like writing each program like twice a week and publish it on GitHub. And yeah, also like during the same time, I started my started a company, or I started a new project. And so the previous one, Gush Finance, like I didn't raise anything. It was just like a fan launch project for fun. So here I so like for Taksh, so my second project, Taksh, I plant like a yield aggregator where it was a gamified yield aggregator where you could so how it worked was like people deposit money. Then like if there is like a US ETH pool, for example, they deposit ETH, we drive it to the best yield source. Let's think about it as like maybe Lido. So we stake it on Lido, and end of the week we take that yield and give it to the best. Like so, 80% of it was given to people based on their share, and like 20% was given to 5 random people. So it was very much like a gamified yield aggregator. And this was so I raised like 300K for this from 5 angel investors in August 2021. And
That's impressive.
Yeah, thanks. And like this was like without so like also like I got rejected in multiple VCs because like they weren't sure. Oh, is this guy like really 13? Like, is this legit? Because of that, like I just raised 300K. And in later that year, I met Kanav Karia, the president of Jump, and he introduced me to like he talked about cross chain and like explained me how it could be like beneficial for the crypto world and like prevent liquidity fragmentation and all those problems. And then I just like we basically like we did like a 3 hour dinner and like restructured how Taksh would be. Like it was then like a gamified cross chain yield aggregator where like you would deposit you would deposit ETH on maybe Ethereum, and like we find best yield, and like the best yield is in Solana. So we transfer that to Solana and then farm there, and like same process. And I Yep. Then in March, when was Crypto Bahamas? So in
lots of events, lots of crypto events for sure. So you met ultimately. I mean, you started a company after building a couple applications, and then or $300,000, which is not a small sum. And then you got connected with the head of Jump, and from there, where did that kind of catapult you to like internships and jobs in the industry?
Definitely, yep. So in in January, I met a friend from Solana Foundation. So like I've been like close with him since June 2021. So I met him in person in January 2022, and he told me like you should do an internship in Solana. And then I messaged Raj. So and like when I was doing those programs, like Anatoly and Raj, like everyone used to like retweet it, and I built like a whole like reputation empire on Solana via that. And like I met like literally everyone from Solana like via that like tweet GitHub thing. Sorry, the pub like making those programs like the program thing, and like Raj and Roli and Armani. Yeah.
Amazing.
So
yeah, it's amazing the power of Twitter. I think if you've never used Twitter before, and then kind of get connected with the right people, kind of say some interesting things, it can really kind of catapult you. One of the reasons why I love Twitter so much, and so it's definitely cool to hear how impactful it was for you. I mean, but I think even prior to that, just like how much work that you put into learning all these things. And I definitely, I mean, no small feat to learn software engineering and programming, and definitely being able to do it at your age, being able to communicate that, upload it in YouTube videos. It's not easy.
Yep. So I chatted with Raj, and he said, like, let's do this internship. So, like, while building the company, I also did the internship. So it was from April to July. And yeah, it was very fun. And yes, and like this internship was the second internship I did. So like the first internship was in a multinational ship company where I built chatbots. Again, yeah, I missed this part too. So I was also in AI and machine learning when like the previous bull cycle was happening in AI. So I did a chatbot, and like I built a chatbot as an intern at this shipbuilding company, and then I was paid like about 500 rupees, which is about $5 or like $10.
Mm-hmm.
So I just yes, and like Solana's internship was much higher than that, so that was a good jump too.
Nice. And then, so can you talk about like anything, or like what were your biggest kind of learning lessons that you took from working with the Solana team, doing the internship? Like, how did it change your point of view from like a programming perspective?
Sure. Working with the Solana team. So when you work in a crypto team, it's very, very much like you work in a team rarely. It's mostly like you work individually and get things done fast. Yes, that was one of the things I realized. So once that was so my internship actually started at Crypto Bahamas, and there like in like this is a fun story. So like within a week, I raised $1 million in seed round, like during Crypto Bahamas, just because like people realized that I was real. Like this 14-year is really 14-year-old. Like then I was 14. And then I also had the Solana reputation and like the whole reputation on Twitter. Yeah. And like one of the investors was FTX. I was in the Bahamas for 2 weeks in April and May, and there I also got to know about like so many things happening. Like FTX was truly unique. Like the collapse was not great, but like the whole way they managed and did. I'll get back to that. I'll get to that part later. So I did my internship 50% in India, 50% in Bahamas. So I shit.
So I mean, you ultimately, I mean, you raised the 300,000? You got the Solana internship, which is amazing. You became super popular on Solana, became a celebrity. You got retweets from Raj, retweets from Toli. Then went to Crypto Bahamas, a massive event. And you got commitments for $1 million. How did, I guess, I mean, all that end up transpiring? Did you continue to work on the application, or where did that lead to you to next?
Yep. So I started building like, so I before raising the $1 million round, we did Avalanche beta. So back then we used Avalanche because it had the best yield back then. And yes, we closed that later. And what should I say? After that led me to like FTX. So like FTX actually invited me to the Crypto Bahamas, and like in the 2 weeks, I became really good friends with them. And they invited me for 3 months to stay in the Bahamas. Actually, they invited me for an indefinite period, but I chose 3 months. And I stayed there from June to September. I met a lot of people, and it was one of the best experiences I had till now. Like I stayed alone for 3 months, like obviously with people. So I stayed at FTX housing, and there were people around, and I would be very confident to say that I built one of the best friends there. Uh, I like a lot of great things happened at FTX for me, and in July I started looking into backpack and trying out stuff. So like Armani was like right next to me, so this was me, this was Armani, and like the backpack team was also there.
Yep.
And like Armani gave me the invite to the dev group, and I built the first. Okay, not the first, because first was built by Backpack, but the non-Backpack team, XNFT was built by me.
Amazing.
And this led me to like looking into this stuff, and yeah, it was fun. In August, DeFi started to go down. I think it happened like even before that, but in August it was seriously down. And I was very skeptical of the company going forward, because if there is a 2-year bear market, and like there's going to be like there's a lot of risk towards continuing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I planned on shutting it down and refunding all the investors. So like all the investors got refunded, and yeah, that was the one of the things I was really happy about. And then in August, I joined FTX. So I worked at FTX. I was working with the backpack team, so I was building like a lot of these XNFTs and shipping it, so that people could there are apps on on backpack to use. So it was similarly how FTX did Serum on Solana, so that there is a thing on Solana what people can do. So I almost did the same with Backpack. So like the second largest app on Backpack was built by me, Flappy Bird.
Amazing.
And then Double Diffusion. It was very fun in the Bahamas.
And I guess, I mean, so you kind of had a crazy whirlwind from, I mean, your early journey of just being able to teach yourself coding, to teaching others on YouTube, to even trying different kind of Web3 businesses with Fiverr, but ultimately getting kicked off with your age. But that kind of propelled you to Twitter and getting involved in the different communities, raising money, which is impressive, and then ultimately kind of sunsetting that, but continuing to kind of further your education. What would your advice, I just think from being the age that you are, being so young and have been so many experiences and gotten to be around such a fast growing industry at an early age, is there any words of wisdoms or things that you would share with people kind of your age that would want to get involved in crypto and blockchain industry?
Definitely. I actually have a list of lessons written down. I'll just open it. And lesson number 1, everything happens for a reason. So if something bad has happened, think that everything is going to be fine. If something good has happened, also think everything's going to be fine. So in case of any good or bad thing, keep on continuing. It's part of life. Then my second lesson, this is like by like this has been going from my like great grandfather to my to me. So wealth education is path to prosperity. So just for context, like my great grandfather was farmer, and then like my at that time it was like literally like very low class. Yeah, almost. And then my grandfather was a tax officer. He was a government officer. So that was a shift from lower class to lower middle class. And then like this was like with like the struggles my grandfather did. So he used to go from like this one point of the state to the other point, which took like about a lot of time. Then like my father like pushed it from like lower middle class to like upper middle class to, and like just like pushing this forward. So this was just an example. Another thing is, I'm just scrolling down. Never let your ego take over your mind.
That's a good one.
It is gonna kill everything you ever built. And I think like one of the biggest examples was FTR, like Sam, and there are actually multiple examples of ego. Always be the average in the smartest group. So this is actually like one of the advice I would really focus someone on. So in case you are the best in a group, you aren't the best fit in the group. So there should be like smarter people in the group, like more smarter people in the group, so that you can learn from them. So this happened like with like multiple things I like previously I was in. So, and recently like the biggest jump I did in terms of knowledge was at FTX. So like everyone was like a Giga brain. Sorry, so everyone was a Giga brain, and it was like great to like learn from all of them. Then never settle. There is no peak. You have to keep on continuing. And
these are a lot of wise things to learn so young.
Thank you.
So maybe like shifting a little bit, I mean, obviously now you have a podcast as well. You're talking with the top investors, top builders in the space. How has that kind of transition for you, even after kind of the software engineering side? How has that transition been to like the podcasting game, and what have you really learned from speaking with some of those podcast guests as well?
Yep. Just for the context of listeners, I host a podcast called The Gut Show. Yep. Sorry. So the reason I started this podcast was to first expand my knowledge and open source the knowledge they have to others. And like talking to them has like opened up a lot of things in my mind. So like some of the most of the questions I ask them is about their personal life and like how and their career, like not what they're working on currently. So like mostly like what they did in past and like what they've learned from it. And there are some like really common questions I ask is like the college life, the student life, their life lessons, some alpha productivity tips, etc. Yeah, that's what. Yep, that's all.
Interesting. Yeah, I would definitely recommend to people if they're interested in starting to podcast to definitely do it. And you and I had a chat earlier on, and yeah, I would highly recommend it to anyone because the people that you get to interact with, the knowledge that you learned, as you mentioned, it truly is different. And so it opens up a lot of doors. On that front, you mentioned kind of college and asked them about college. I mean, still being in high school, what are your plans? Are you going to try to continue to pursue education? Are you just going to go straight into the workforce? Or, I mean, maybe these are some external questions, but how are you thinking about what you are going to do just because you're so young and the world is kind of your oyster?
Definitely. I'm surely going to join. I'm 100% going to join college. Don't know which one.
I'm sure that will make your parents happy.
Yeah, they're also happy with all of the things happening right now. But college is necessary for like some part of the world because so like in case you want to get like a visa, like you need a degree and a lot of things. There's like the boring answer. The more interesting answer is learning the fundamentals is also good, and like some of the great things have started from some of the great things have been built out of college. So like most of the founders and maybe SF have like their startups started in their dorm room, and I don't mean like I'll start one, but it is it is a place where you can get good alpha. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. No, my college experience, I started out swimming. I got recruited for swimming and then kind of transitioned when I learned I was not going to be Michael Phelps and I was not going to make a bunch of money in swimming to engineering kind of full time. And it was definitely a unique experience. I'm sure you're going to have lots of fun. But on the college like stuff, like I guess like going to definitely pursue like engineering.
Yeah, definitely engineering for sure.
Okay, wonderful. And then I guess you're going to try to stay into Web3 as well.
That's unsure. But maybe.
Okay. If you didn't go into Web3, would there be another field of engineering that interests you?
Some of the field. Yeah, that's an interesting question. Good question. Like most of the other fields have been like overpopulated, so I can't think of one where there's like less population and which is good. AI is very overpopulated for sure. Not gonna say that. But AI is definitely interesting. So, can to which part? Is there anything happening in the other part of the world?
AI is different, interesting for sure. I think one of the reasons though why I at least prefer crypto is because it doesn't anybody like yourself or can kind of have access to build like cool, interesting dApps. But in AI, like you really have to have a lot of money to train machine learning models, which is kind of crazy. So the barrier to entry is definitely a little bit higher, but it is a fascinating field.
Agreed.
And then I guess, I mean, besides like Web3 and crypto, teaching people, raising money, all the things that you've been doing, are there any like things that you do or any sports that you play kind of on like the day to day, or are you kind of pretty strictly focused on like working?
Yeah, I do play sports. It's been a while I played sports actually. I So I started playing paddle. It is, in simple words, it's tennis for rich people. So I started that. I started playing that in the Bahamas, and yeah, I love to play that. And there's also foosball. It's like an indoor game, so not outdoor game. Before all that, I was into basketball, but not really deep. It's just like there's a physical education period, and you have to play something.
Interesting. And what was that one that you learned in the Bahamas?
Oh, it was called paddle.
Badden?
Paddle. Paddel. Yep.
Okay, interesting. That's funny.
It's very similar to squash. Actually, I'm holding that right now. I'm playing tomorrow.
Awesome. Nice. I'll have to check it out. Here in Miami, I haven't seen any courts. Paddleball.
It's actually similar to tennis courts.
Okay, interesting. I'll have to check out the game, see if I can learn. But yeah, I think, I mean, you have obviously a fascinating story, and just being able to learn these kind of technical concepts, being able to share them, being able to kind of capitalize on kind of early support from others, which is amazing. No, it's a fascinating story. Just being able to raise from the venture capital side, that's hard alone. But getting to work at some of these companies on the internship side, it's very unique.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
I guess, yeah. I mean, maybe kind of closing thoughts, or is there anything that you would recommend to others or advice that you would give? I know you kind of gave your words of wisdom and life advice, but any particular things that you would tell people your age on, like, getting involved in Web3 or crypto or taking a chance on yourself? Any words of wisdoms that you would give to classmates?
I would actually say the same what I said before. That's actually the advice I would give to everyone. Like, those were the advice I would give to everyone. If someone is interested in getting into engineering, like, that advice I can also give it, but I'm not sure if this still works. Get into learn crypto, get in a DAO, and just start learn like something very tough, maybe C or Rust, then start testing your skills by writing a lot of programs. Like, select a blockchain, write a program, and go to a DAO and ask them if you could contribute in any way. And I'm pretty sure, like, most of them are gonna say yes. And similarly, how you do it in Web2, where you have to do like a couple of like free internships at the beginning, do that. It's very similar to that. And once you got the experience, like, and first of all, start a Twitter account, start tweeting, and yeah, you never know what happens. Like, 3 years back, I had only 105 followers, and now
Impressive growth.
now I have 35,200 followers. So and also, yeah, I think that's all.
Perfect. Well,
read Naval's book on
the Almanac of Naval.
Almanac of Naval. We can't read his.
That's a good one.
It's quick.
For sure. No, well, again, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I always love talking with people that have unique stories, and yours is probably the most unique. And I would say I'm jealous that you're way ahead of me when I was your age. And so continue to do amazing things in the space, continue to kind of push yourself and push the space forward. Appreciate what you contribute to the space. Appreciate all the podcasts that you host personally. But yeah, keep inspiring people, and looking forward to see what you continue to do in the coming years.
Thanks, Logan. Yeah, it was great chatting with you.
Appreciate you coming on the podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.